Hello everybody, I'm Zap Anderson from Autodesk. Today I'm going to talk about what's new with relation to OSL and OSL shaders in the new version of Max. Enjoy the ride. In Max 2020, a lot of work was put into the OSL shaders representation in the viewport. They get automatically transcoded into HLSL for real-time display. The quality of the translation can be shown here in this little indicator. This makes it work even for foreign third-party shader just downloaded off the internet. They still show up in the viewport as this random hexagon shader that I put onto the plate under the sushi. Of course, colors and everything is immediately tweakable. Now, since the underlying code that drives the Nitrous viewport is the same that drives the Quicksilver hardware renderer, this means that OSL is now fully supported in Quicksilver. This is a very nice enhancement to this GPU-driven renderer. It can give you some really nice results. Also threw in some new shaders. Here, for example, is a simple color keying shader, which can be used to do kind of rudimentary green screening straight inside Max. We have the ability to do garbage matting by cutting off the edges. You can have an actual individual mask. Now, this is of course animated, so I think I need to tweak this edge a little bit like this. There, better. Now I simply click the color and pick a color using the eyedropper tool from somewhere on the screen, and boom, I have a decent, not perfect, but good for slap comps keying. Of course, the color isn't perfect, so another shader we threw in is a tritone color corrector, where you have highlights, midtones, and shadows. Here I'm picking them off the background so I can get a result that kind of matches in the color like this. Very nice. There we have our guy throwing. Very nice. Of course, it looks identical in the rendering as the viewport. You would hear me say this several times here. So it really shows that the viewport can be trusted for these kind of things. Another new one we threw in is a little simple tiles shader that can do tiles in a few different ways. You can tweak the parameters of it, like how the tiles are laid out, like this. There's an ability to tweak the gap distance between the tiles. You can tweak the roundness of the corners of each of the tiles to make them completely square or completely round. There's a little bump mapped edge you can see that gives a little highlight. We can tweak the width of that edge from nothing to really thick. And of course, yes, the renderer will show exactly the same result. Keep saying this, but it's very important. So the work that is done in the viewport can be trusted to translate to the result you do get in the actual rendering. Another fun one is the weave shader. It's kind of a basket weave thing where you can tweak things like the width down from chicken wire to wide bands. You can tweak the flatness to make round or flat things, bendiness, how much it applies to the bump. Obviously, colors are fully editable. The shader is useful for like close-up of cloth, for basket weave stuff of course, but even for stuff like carbon fiber. Another cool one is the Halftone Dots shader. This happens to work really well together with the Arnold Toon shaders. Basically screen space dots whose size you can set with an input value, or if we check this box, it gets driven by Arnold Toon shader to be based on the light. So as we move the light, we see dots shrink and grow to create the shading in a very traditional kind of old newspaper manner. We can turn it into hatches like this and keep tweaking the width, base width of the lines with changing this value. Another thing that is often done in toon shading is to use a posterized ramp. So we put our new simple gradient on, and we turn up the hardness. This gives like a stair-step gradient, and we want to turn this into kind of a dirty grayscale. So we set some sort of grayscale, but not exactly values, to get that extra toony look of the whole thing. And here we go, we have kind of a toon shading that kind of follows the light. But what if we combine the two approaches? Let's plug the one we had before into the darkest area. So now we have hatches there. We paste in the color, we adjust the line width setting there a little, and it's looking pretty neat, but we're lacking some definition. So what if we drop in a ambient occlusion and connect that as the input value for the line width, and now we have something which gives a very nice definition in the blacks coming from the AO. And then when we start playing with the view or changing the light, we can make very nice results. Here we see clearly how dark it is in the black areas. Finally, we have something called a toon width. It makes lines thicker on the lower left side of everything by looking at the normal vector of the surface and letting that guide the line width. It gives a really nice kind of hand-drawn effect to this. Of course, we have a waveform shader for all your blinking disco floor needs, and if that's not enough, in total we added 14 brand new shaders and we modified 3. The modifications is that the bitmap shader now does UDIMs, the composite shader has all the blend modes, and the tweak shader works almost identical to Photoshop levels and now has a mid-tone spinner. Hope you enjoyed the updates to OSL in Max 2020. Enjoy, thank you. Zap out, over and out.